All right, joining me via Zoom, very excited. The return. I spoke with him a few times, but during quarantine, we didn't know where we're going to get a college basketball season. What was it going to look like? Now, first place in the SEC. Nate Oats, Alabama. How you doing, man?
Shoot, we're doing good. We're playing great for a while. We're not playing as good anymore, but we had an ugly win last night. An ugly win's better than a pretty loss, though. So it's a better day in the office today after a win.
Absolutely. I was just going to ask you how your guys holding up. I mean, you've been the incredible thing about your season is that you really, frankly, haven't had your full roster for most of the year. Jordan Bruner gets hurt at Kentucky. Javon Quinterly was in and out. You had a kid go down at South Carolina. Just how your guys holding up? Everybody doing okay? Because we're getting to the stretch run where everybody's got bumps and bruises.
Yeah, I mean, I tell our guys every year, like you get to February, hardly anybody in the country is going to be 100%, and hardly any player is going to be at full speed. You're going to have nicks, bumps, bruises. You got to play through them. But I mean, it seems to me like we're a little more banged up than normal. We haven't had Bruner for a month. Herb Jones has been hobbled for 3 weeks now. He's nowhere close to being himself. Quinterly had a 2-week break where he kind of lost. I mean, he was playing great at Tennessee and 2 weeks off, and now I thought he looked pretty good last night, against South Carolina, but he's starting to get it back. But yeah, I mean, it's just, if we could have kept everybody healthy the whole time, we had a roll in there when right before Bruner, it was that Kentucky game, like Herb went out with the dislocated finger, but Quinterly had been out before. Quinterly was out at the time, but that Bruner, and then kind of after that, we played pretty well at LSU. That might have been the last game where we played really well on both sides of the ball. But our defense has been pretty consistent. Our offense, without Herb creating shots for guys, because he's just not as explosive as he is when he's healthy, and Quinterly's still coming back into form. Our offense is taking a step back here in the last few weeks.
It's kind of a dumb question, but, you guys are one of the few teams, as best I can tell, you really haven't had any pause since the start of the season, or certainly not since the start of SEC play. I looked it up. You've played the most conference games in the SEC, 11. You've played 21 games overall. I mean, we have teams that haven't even played 10 games yet this season, but you want to play. I'm not implying you don't want to play. I'm not implying you need a break or you want a break, but at this time of year, is there any as weird as it sounds, is there actually a disadvantage to having played as many games as you've played relative to everybody else?
Yeah, there may be. I mean, some other, kind of rest, get your legs under you. When Oklahoma had the two players out with COVID, and there was talk about maybe they're not going to play, we kind of said, well, that may not be the worst thing if we don't play that game. One other team in our league took that Big 12 Challenge day off, but I'm not the kind that's going to not play. Like if we got guys to play, we're playing. I mean, I always, because our players want to play. I mean, I don't care what these coaches say, like the players always want to play games. So I'm not going to be, let's not play. I mean, maybe we got to rest a couple guys and play some bench guys, but it's hard when you're trying to win the league too. Like we don't want to give anything away. I mean, it's a different year. It's so much different than anything else. Normal year, everybody's played the same amount of games at this point, and they're dealing with fatigue. You're dealing with fatigue. Now it's like, shoot, maybe this team that had 2 weeks off over here is a lot more fresh than we are. I don't know, but I just think we got to play the games, and there's pros and cons to playing. There's pros and cons to resting. Let's try to make the pros as good as we can and limit the cons as much as we can. We're trying to shorten practices up and do all that type of stuff, but it's still, you got to practice when you're playing games. So yeah, a little bit. There's some other teams maybe a little more rested. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And, just talking to people across the country this time of year, there's been people that have kind of mentioned to me offhand, hey, we've played double the amount of league games as some of the teams are playing, and, we're whatever. Doesn't matter. Like you said, you're happy to be winning. I'll ask you, it's kind of crazy following your season because there were some struggles in out-of-conference play, and it happens to everybody. when did you feel like it clicked? Because I think you were 5-3 at one point, entered the SEC, maybe 6-3. And then all of a sudden, boom, you guys start rolling. And I think it was probably that game at Rupp that everybody realized, okay, there's something here. I mean, hate to brag, I kind of noticed it maybe around that Florida game where you kind of blew them out of the gym. Well, great team, no disrespect to them, but I kind of said, okay, if they can play like this, they're going to beat a lot of teams. When did you get the sense, okay, we may have turned a semi-corner here and we're probably better than people realize?
I think it's probably the Tennessee game. I mean, they were highly rated. We went on the road and we were clicking on all cylinders, I thought. I mean, we weren't shooting a ridiculous amount like we did against LSU, but I thought our defense was really good. I thought our offense was sharp, and we ended up beating them pretty soundly in their own gym. And they're a good team, well coached. It's not, it's one thing to do it against a really talented team that's got a lot of bad habits, but it's another thing to do it against a well coached, talented, hard playing veteran. And I feel like that's what Tennessee is. So when we did it there, it's like, all right, we got a shot here. I thought in the offseason we had a real shot, to be honest with you. I liked our roster. We had Petty back, Shaq back. I think they were top 2 return scorers in the SEC. I knew Herb Jones was a big-time pro that just needed to be healthy. I knew Quinterly could play. We had Primo coming in. Bruner I loved. I liked our roster a lot. And then, sometimes it takes a little longer than what you want it to as a coach. Like we were 4-3 after that Western Kentucky loss and wasn't going the way we wanted it. I think that was kind of the turning point to everything. But I think really that Tennessee win on the road kind of let all of us know, like, hey, we could be pretty dang good. We could be one of the best teams in the country.
Very good. Obviously, look, your narrative and your story has been told and retold and all that stuff with coming from high school, Buffalo, all that stuff. But I was kind of curious, I think your style of play specifically has caught a lot of people's attention this year. The fact that you play fast, you shoot a lot of threes, it's overblown, I know, but shots at the rim, 3-point shots, all that kind of stuff. And, maybe not gonna lie, the envy of some other fan bases across college basketball, maybe some players too that like the style you play. When did you as a coach think this is how I want to coach? This is how I want my guys to play? Was it at the high school level, Buffalo, Alabama? Where was that?
It was back in high school. I was a math guy. I was a math major, taught math for a long time. I liked the open style. I like getting up and down. And we had athletes. I was right outside Detroit. We had a lot of athletes. We got in the gym, worked with them. We did tons of player skill development. So if we're going to spend thousands of hours in the gym developing skill, let's let them play. But you've got to have structure to it too. I mean, you're not just rolling the balls out. You got to coach them. So I think the best way to let them play, and shoot, it's what the NBA is doing right now. I mean, they've got the best players in the world and they let them play, but there's structure too. I mean, you're paid a lot of money to coach basketball up in the NBA. So, what kind of structure can you give them while you still give them a lot of freedom? And I think that's where you come down, we're going to define the type of shots we're looking for, but we're not going to define every single dribble, every single pass. No, like you're going to have freedom, playmaking ability to use what we've worked on in the gym all this time. So, I think we built our program back at Romulus on player development, but then you got to let the players play when you develop the players and teach them. So that's where it really developed. Matter of fact, I talked to Vance Wahlberg this morning. He called me, he watched our game, he watched our Missouri game. Had a couple of pointers for him, but he was one of the ones that I started studying like kind of midway through when I decided how I really wanted to play at Romulus. And then he's, and Cal at Memphis and Vance had a big, so I got in touch with Vance and through mutual friends, and he sent me 6 DVDs from when he was at Fresno City College, and they were ridiculous back then. Like I don't know if you've ever watched any of his games when he was at Fresno City. You should get it.
Yeah.
Somewhere I got those DVDs somewhere still. Like they were putting up like 170, 180.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. He was flying up and down the floor. So we put the whole system in. I dropped the pressing part of it because we found when we were playing high major point guards at Romulus, if you open the floor up defensively against these high major point guards, that didn't always go as well. But we kept the offensive, a lot of the philosophies, the space, his original, Cal Perry named it dribble drive motion, but I think Vance's original was attack, skip, attack, getting multiple sides of the floor and playing aggressive, attacking downhill. So a lot of it goes back to them. The first year he was at Pepperdine, me and Josh Baker, my assistant, who was with me here down in Alabama last year too, but he was my assistant at Ramos. We used to go to either an NBA training camp or a college during the first week, or a lot of times we do both because training camp started in October or like late September. Basketball would start college would start in October. So we try to do both, but we went out to Pepperdine the first week that Vance was at Pepperdine, spent a whole week with them, and it was great. So yeah, but back in high school is when but we've tweaked it every year. And we even tweaked it in the middle of this year with doing the stuff we're doing now. We're always looking to make it a little bit better if we can. And we're trying to tweak it right now because we're not playing very well on offense right now, to be honest with you.
Well, you're banged up. You get half your team's out on the sidelines on crutches and stuff. But by the way, for people who don't know, Vance Wahlberg, dribble drive, John Calipari kind of implemented a lot of that at Memphis. And obviously that's what Coach Oats is talking about right now. Yeah, it's just, and I'm a fan first. I don't claim to know the game as well as you do or anyone at that level or at your level. But it's just like, it is amazing to me. Everyone talks about, kids want to play. And I've always, even just watching you guys last year when you were struggling a little bit, I kind of thought, the way that they play, kids are going to want – do you think there's too much – I don't want you to pick on any coach specific, but do you think there's too much over-coaching sometimes in basketball? Because sometimes it's like you said, coaches always say it's about the players, it's not about me. And then they bring in the players, and then it's about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you can – do way more damage over coaching than under coaching. And I'll tell you, I coached 11 years in Detroit. There's big time players, really good high school programs. There's the coaches that really controlled every single bounce, dribble, pass. Those you can take them out of everything they want to do. Then there's the coaches on the complete opposite of the spectrum. All they did is get their kids to play super hard, had no real coaching on offense. They just let them go. They were more dangerous than the teams that were like coached well. You know what I'm saying? There's a happy medium in the middle. Like you can't roll the balls out like a PE teacher and just give them to play hard. But I think that coach is a lot better than the coach that makes them, you're going to do it the exact same way I tell you to do it. Like turning guys into robots is not playing basketball, like at least not the way I want to coach basketball. So I'm not trying to coach every dribble, every pass, every screen. Like if you're not teaching them how to play in practice, then you're not really doing your job. That's how I think. So like in the game, I don't even I tell our team all that. I give them the first 3 sets out of the gate. When we're playing our best basketball, we don't even run those 3 sets out of the gate. We get to the first one, maybe. But when we're taking it out of the net, even on a make, but preferably on a miss, when we're getting a rebound to make a steal, I want them playing in the flow, like playing, like hoop. Let's go hoop. Now we've got principles and spacing principles, and we're going to define the type of shots that you can take. But we want you attacking. And if you got to look to the bench and get a call from me every time down the floor, like you're not playing attacking basketball. You're playing a lot more like a robot. And that's not how I want to coach.
Fantastic. I know you only got a few more minutes here. A lot of calls, top team in the SEC. This happens. I appreciate you fitting me into the schedule, but where do you go from here? It seems like, you've said a few times that we're not where we want to be. Part of that is what we said. You don't have a full roster. How do you find that balance of we want to win every game, but we also have to make sure we have our guys back healthy, ready to go for the games that really, 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 really matter in the middle of March?
Yeah, we had that discussion as a staff today. We had our trainer in there. It's like Herb Jones banged up with his back. We're trying to win the league. The only thing that sets him back at all, like him playing in the games doesn't set him back. It's only if he gets hit. Now that's the problem. Like he doesn't get hit every game. He's got it really padded, but if he takes a hard charge or a hard fall, like he can get set back. So, the discussion was, do you sit him a game? just to try to get him healthier. And then, you know, now that Juwan Gary's out, you know, with a shoulder, and we don't know when we'll get him back, like, and they play essentially the same position a lot, like, and Bruner's out. Now our front court's kind of really decimated. What do we do? We certainly don't want to give up a win when you're trying to, I mean, we're trying to win the league for the first time in almost 20 years. So if we could get a little bit more separation, maybe it makes sense to sit him, but we're not going to plan on sitting him anytime soon. You know, maybe if what do we got? 6 games left. If we can get to 4 games left with a 3-game lead or something.
Let's clinch this thing with 3, like golf. What do they say? 3 and 2, 3 with 2 to go, or something like that. And
yeah, something like that. That's what we need to do.
Very good. Last question. I know you got to run. Let's play best case scenario. Your guys are back. Everybody's relatively healthy. As you said, nobody's going to be 100% by the time we get to a month from now. But is there a ceiling to this team? I mean, you guys have beaten some really good teams really convincingly. Do you feel like if I can have all my guys and they're pretty close to 100%, you feel like you can play with just about anybody, I assume?
Yeah, I do. I think, I mean, obviously Gonzaga and Baylor have set themselves up as probably the 2 best teams in the country this year. So, and I haven't watched them a ton, but the way we shoot the 3 and the way we're defending, I mean, right now, I think this morning on KenPom, and SEC's got the top 2 defensive teams in the league. Tennessee's 1, or in the country. I mean, you know, if you look at the KenPom ratings, Tennessee was 1 and we were 2. So, you know, you know, who knows if we're really the 2nd best defense in the country or not, but that's what the analytics say on that thing. You know, we're definitely one of the better ones when we've got everybody healthy and playing the way we're capable of playing. And if we shoot threes like we're capable of, I mean, I think you can beat anybody. So we can also lose to anybody. We've lost to Western Kentucky. You know, not that they're bad. They're a good team, and Charles Bassey's going to be a pro, and they're good. But, you know, we've got a really high upside, but if we don't bring it, you know, I mean, you'd see it within one game, the first 20 minutes and the last like 10 minutes of the Missouri game, 2 completely different teams. So if we get the team that played the last 10 minutes, that Missouri game, and how hard we played, you know, not the first 20, like, we're pretty good. If we get the team that shot threes at a level like we did against LSU, we probably beat anybody. But, you know, to do that for however many games in a row, you know, your defense is going to have to carry you for when you're trying to make tournament runs. If you're going to win the SEC tournament, your defense is going to have to carry you. You're not going to make threes at that clip every game, 3-4 straight days or whatever. If you're going to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, your defense is going to have to carry you. So that's why I'm happy with our defense right now, but we got to get our offense back rolling because, you know, people say defense wins championships, and you got to have a good defense to win chip, but you need an offense too. Like, let's not act like you're just going to go out there and stop people. You got to put the ball in the hole too to win the game. So we got to get our offense back rolling again.
Well, listen, you only got to win 9 straight to you know, win it all. No pressure. You started 10-0 in SEC play, so I know it can be done. And I'm a positive vibes only guy, so I'm wishing you guys the best and frankly health. I mean, your guys play so hard and they're so fun to watch, and you can see a guy like Herb Jones isn't 100% right now, but you know, I'm hoping, and I think they will all be 100%. But Coach, I know you got to run. You got other interviews, but thank you.
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We'll link up in the summer, and we'll speak soon. Thanks, Coach.
That was good. Thanks, Aaron. Take care, man.